Okay, sometimes, okay, often, as we grow and change in life, so do our friend circles. And that can be really hard in the neurodiverse community because sometimes for us making friends is a challenge. And because of that experience throughout the years, it can make it challenging for us to recognize or be comfortable with letting go of friends that are actually no longer friends, that are more bullies than friends, or just friends that are going in a different direction than you're growing in. And so that's what I talk about this week in my article. And I think it's really important to have that conversation. I see it actually a lot in the leadership perspective. A lot of times, those friends that helped them, or even coworkers that were part of their lives getting to where they are now, are not able to continue to support them where they are at. Maybe they got promoted above some of those other people, so they no longer can retain that type of relationship, or just how they're growing and what they're pursuing, some of their core values are actually shifting. And that creates friction. Let's just call it what it is. That creates friction. And one of the kindest things, as you know, I love to quote Brené Brown, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. Being clear in your friendships, once you've recognized that things are changing and that you're not going in the same direction and possibly you guys working together doesn't work very well, being clear about that is important. What brought this up were some conversations I talk about in the article this last week amongst my clients, but something not in the article that I will share here, if you've watched the video over reading up on it, was that my first experience with this was many years ago, and it was around the time I was getting divorced, and somebody who I had invested in numerous times in their life when they had been desperate and needed a lot of help. I dropped whole things, doesn't matter. When I turned around and asked them for the type of help I'd been investing in them, one of the greatest gifts she gave me was she said, I can't give you what you've given me. She goes, I don't have it in me, not right now at all. And she goes, and actually, I just don't want to be your friend anymore. And I can tell you exactly where I was, what song was playing, like it was a breakup. And yet I was grateful for her for being clear, because each time we would talk to each other, it was painful. And we weren't adding value to each other. It was more like razor blades. We weren't helping each other. And so it became time for us to move on. And that can happen. In particular, the story I talk about in this article is about a client who was headed away for an entire weekend with a group of his friends. He was looking forward to the time away. He was not looking forward to being around these people. The last time he was around them, they harassed him to a point that he came back with a lot of PTSD that was related actually to childhood bullying and other things that had gone on in his life. But their level of bullying and harassing him and making fun of some of the new things that were going on in his life, it was consistent. It was all weekend. It was a lot. And so as this weekend was approaching, he really didn't want to go. And so we had to have the breakup conversation about there does come a time sometimes in friendships where you're going in two different directions. And he had to decide, did he even want to go this week? He was having really high anxiety about going this weekend. And this happens to a lot of people. This is a person running a company with over 100 employees. So he deals with lots of high stress situations, but these are your friends. This is social peer pressure. This is a little bit different thing. And a lot of it evolved around food. He'd had some medical things happen in the last year, and his health has become a much greater priority than it used to be. And his friends were really harassing him about these new foods he needed to eat and just his inability to consume alcohol. It was pretty ugly. Anyways, in the end, after we chatted and so forth, he decided in the end to not go on the weekend. He paid for his space, but he did not go. He told them they might want to invite somebody else, but that he wasn't looking forward to it anymore, and it wasn't going to work out. And instead, he actually got himself a hotel locally and spent a couple of days working on some journaling and some projects for himself that he had wanted to work on. And it was kind of exciting to see how that evolved for him and what was happening. Often, as I'm working with clients, as they're growing as a coach, I'm helping people grow in the direction they want to grow, and we do come to that line. It is more challenging when that line gets run into and it's family members. I won't lie at all. That's an additional layer. Friends, you can separate, you can kind of weave out of. Family, it can be done. It's more challenging, but it can be done. And your health and your wellness is really the top priority. But as a neurodiverse, sometimes having those conversations can be challenging. And sometimes the fear of just not having friends for a little while and actually like rejecting somebody because you've been rejected so many times. I've had so many clients struggle with that over the years. And I want you to know you're not alone. This article talks about that, talks about some of the process of understanding it is time to move on. So thanks for tuning in. I'm Joy Gina, International Neurodiversity Coach. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep rocking. Bye now.